Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Down Low with Joel Lowe and Mike Durezzo. I'm Mike Durezzo, and with me always is my buddy Joel. Joel, say hello.
Hello,
Hey.
welcome.
So we're going to dive right on in today. We're going to talk about the first 90 days in cybersecurity as a CISO or maybe just even as a leader. Um, Joel, you've obviously been in this space as a CISO and have a lot of experience in this. Let's start off with you. I think you keyed it off with a really good point when we started this discussion. Your first one had three words in it, and they were all the same words.
Right. So
What were
listen,
they?
listen, and listen. So my grandma used to always tell me, "Hey, you have two ears and one mouth, right? So you should
Mhm,
listen twice as much as you speak." And I think that is a key to being a leader and coming into a new organization on that first 90, right?
mhm,
That first 90 days, you should talk. You should listen more than you talk, right? And the reason for that is you will hear so many gems, right?
mhm.
But if you're talking, you'll get in the way of those gems of things you need to listen to.
Right,
And as people like to speak, especially if they like you or somehow want to gain favor with you because you're the new leader, they will start talking. And through their talking, they will say so many different things that you're like, huh, that's interesting. Oh, when we had a pen test, we had to block this port because we knew that if they got over there, whoo, everything we messed up. And it's a joke, but you're like, huh, I need to I need to start looking at that port there. Okay,
right,
duly noted, right?
right,
Why did we do that? Right. So what I'm looking at is my numbers are skewed, right?
right,
That report I got is not actually reflective of our current environment.
right,
It's those little things that will help you get to a point where you can start fixing and really get a true picture of your environment and what you're dealing with, right?
right,
So listen, and then after that, listen again.
right. And that goes through all the way through to who are the politic players, who are the
Right,
key interaction points, who
right,
owns what, and where you fit into that, right? So especially if you're the CISO, you may think that you own certain things like
right,
disaster recovery and things like that, when in fact maybe you don't. You may think that you own policy and when in fact compliance owns it, or
right,
regulatory support or things like that, and you're like, well, I own regulatory. You're like, oh, we have a compliance team for that. And you're like, what does the compliance team do? And like, well, they manage this, and this. You're like, oh, okay. So my job is just to support them. Yes, you are the technical arm for them. You're like,
right.
great, that's awesome. That takes a lot less of your bet. And don't look at it as you've lost ground. Look at it as people are there to support and be key players with you, right?
Right,
You still have a important role to play in this. You still have an yeah, and in fact, it's even more important because
right.
there are additional people that are counting on you to help out and deliver and things like that. So no, I absolutely agree. Like,
And I think
listen,
also, so bouncing off of that is so it's very important not to take on additional roles,
right,
right?
right,
So I think when you first come in, there are people who are strategically trying to offload stuff, right? I hate doing this audit thing, or I hate doing governance. So, hey, Joel, you're the new governance guy
right,
within, and you're like, okay, and versus saying, no, no, no. Right now, let me just focus on cybersecurity and what we're doing.
right,
I'll get to the governance, but let me get past and truly understand my organization because what I'm doing is I'm taking on more, right? So I think that goes so important with understanding what your responsibilities are, right?
yeah,
And those are questions that you can ask before you even start. Once you get the
mhm,
job, I
right,
can have a question with the CTO or the CIO or the CFO or the CEO and ask them, hey, what is my current environment,
how
right?
do
And
I
they're
fit
like,
into this?
all you have is security, Joel. You have
Right,
security, you got firewalls, you have these tools, things like cool. So then when you start hearing people say, hey, you're gonna do governance and you're gonna do the PCI and you're gonna do this, you say, hey, whoa, I don't
whoa,
mind helping out in that, but
right,
I'm not able to take that on right now because right now I need to focus on this. So a huge mistake, and I've seen this so much, right, is people take on all this stuff,
yeah,
right, and then they fail because you can only manage so much. You're
right,
one person. You're
right,
not Superman and you're not Jesus, right? You're one person
right,
and you only can do so much. It's 24 hours, right?
right.
And you don't want to overextend yourself, being this, yes, I do it. and then you're not successful. So then you have a report, or you have your first review, and it's bad because they're like, hey, you're not attempting to this, and this right
Right.
here looks good. And we got an audit coming up, and you haven't had meetings with this because you can only stretch so far, right?
Right.
So again, don't take on more, right? It is okay to say, hey, I do security.
Yeah.
This is what I do. I do cybersecurity. I'm an expert in this, and I'm going to knock it out for you.
Right.
Eventually, I can look at that, right?
Right.
But let me first get this program set up because this is important, right? And we need to make sure that that's why you brought me here, is to get this done.
Yeah.
And there's nobody's going to say, oh, well, Joel, if we would have known that. No. We talked about that, right?
Right. We
Never want
established
to
that
be able
before I
to-
even signed on for the job.
Right.
Like we
Never.
talked. So I think you had you dropped a bunch of gold nuggets. You are very passionate about this. Have a
Yeah.
skeleton plan. You started talking about, you're like, even before you start, have an idea of the things that you want to target and when you want to target them. Right. So,
Right.
did they mention where they were deficient during the interview? Right. Like I've had jobs where it's like, we need somebody who knows PCI compliance. We can barely spell it. And you're like, okay, so
Right.
when I get in, I'm going to do an immediate assessment of where we are against PCI compliance.
Right.
And then obviously when I met everybody day one, I validated, like, where are we with PCI compliance? Have we started it? Does this, and then they were like, we don't really have anything in place. You're like, and a lot of people were like, what is PCI compliance? You're like, and I didn't take that it is, what is air? You keep using this
Yeah.
word, but it was more like, to you, Mike, what does PCI compliance mean? I said, it's credit card security, it's this and that. Because
Mhm.
people are like, oh, you mean like a PCI slot on a card? And you're like, not exactly.
No.
But yeah,
No.
so, and then who are the team members, create a high level goal for each month and everything else. Talk a little bit about what you said for a skeleton plan. What are some of the things that went in your skeleton plan?
So a skeleton plan keeps you honest, right? It keeps you, it's a railroad for you to, or tracks for you to go along, and make sure that you're kind of getting to the goals that you wanted to set, right?
Right on.
So it's not in stone, right? That's why
Right.
it's a skeleton. But it lets you know, like, here are key people that I want to speak to, right? So before I ever get first day on the job, I know that I want to talk to, like, legal, because legal's gonna keep me out of jail, right? I want to talk to HR because if I'm having issues, right, either with hiring or firing
Mhm.
or adjusting my people, HR
Mhm.
is going to be the people I got to talk to, right? I want to talk to administrators, right, assistants, because they know all the dirt,
Yeah,
right?
we talked about executive assistants.
Right. They know what
Absolutely
everything
key.
is. Oh, so there's certain people that are key.
Yeah.
Procurement, right? The
Yeah.
person over procurement, because guess what? I can't introduce security early enough if I don't know we're buying something, right?
Yeah.
So
There's
to
no
be
vendor
best friends
risk
with him,
security without procurement.
right?
Absolutely.
So asking them, like, hey, is there any way possible? Like, hey, whenever we buy something, if you just let me know, right? If
Yeah.
you see something that has something about cloud, or hey, got
Right.
to connect us to the internet, just let me know, and I'll come into that meeting. And it has saved me so much time and energy, because
Yeah.
the director of procurement would always call about, hey, Joe, did you know we were looking at this product? No.
No, I did
I know.
not.
Hold on, well, we got a meeting in like 30 minutes, and I know it's last minute. Can you make it? Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
will be on that meeting. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing, is be available, right?
Right.
Even though I'd have another meeting, I would let my other manager go in my place, and I
Right.
would go to this meeting.
Right.
And it's always be a shock when, hey, Joel's here from security. Hey, Joel, we were gonna call you. We wasn't
We were gonna
sure.
invite you.
We're glad you're here. Well, I'm glad to be here, guys. What's
We're
going on?
glad you're here.
Right?
Is that what
What's
they mean
going
when
on?
they say that? They're actually not
Yeah,
glad I'm here. Is that what you're telling me, Joel?
probably
No,
not.
they are not glad I'm here.
They're not glad, right? They tried to slide this one through, but I'm everywhere.
Right.
I'm, hey, I'm in your nightmares and your dreams, baby.
Yeah.
Security, right?
Yeah.
So, understanding this skeleton plan will help you, and then break it down. I always say, how do you eat an elephant, right?
Right.
Small bites, right? You can't eat it all in one totality.
Salt and
So
pepper.
one sitting, right?
Right.
Salt and pepper, hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Uh, so my
Key.
thing is,
Key.
break it down 30 days, right? What you want to do, and then break that down to a week, right?
Yeah.
So I want to meet 2 new people. I want to,
I like it.
read over one contract. I
Mhm.
want to meet with one of my vendors, right?
Right.
And also have 2 one-on-ones
Right.
with my managers. Boom, that's a good solid week right there. And there'll be a
Right.
lot of other things that, whoever you
There
report to
should
will
be.
add on and whatnot.
Yeah. Your
Uh,
first week's going to be a fire hose.
right.
Take copious notes, listen,
Mhm.
ask questions,
Right.
but it's understand it will be a fire hose for the next 90 days, right?
Right.
Which is why I think your skeleton plan is so key, is because it does break that elephant down into bite-sized morsels, and
Right.
you can stay. You're like, I didn't talk to finance yet. I didn't
Yeah.
talk to legal yet. I did.
Right.
That's my key in the next 3 days, is to find the key people to talk to in these two departments. And sometimes, it's nice to talk to the head of the department, but it's also more important to talk to the person who runs the show, right?
Right. Right.
Who's tapped into how the momentum and things work like that. Who is their person Friday that gets everything done, right? Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
I would love to say that I am a key role to this, but if you want something done in GRC, you talk to my team lead.
Right.
He is the air traffic controller for vendor risk management for this and that and the
Right.
other thing. So people are like, Mike, I need you to get this through. I'm like, did you talk to my team lead? Did you talk to this person? They're
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I sent him an email. What did he tell you? And don't supplant your empower the people underneath you
Mhm.
appropriately, and don't supplant them. But speaking of which, let's take a step back. Meeting your team, right? So like,
Oh
your
my
first
god.
interaction with your team, we jumped into the skeleton plan and started going through it, but
We
meeting your
did.
team, right?
Ah,
Establishing credibility, establishing that you care, establishing that you are invested in what they do, and everything else. I think that's key, because you said it establishes who stays and who updates their resume.
that first meeting is everything, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've said that a lot, right? And there's a lot of things in this first 90 days that
Yeah.
can really make your life easy, or it can make the rest of your journey with this company
Right.
terrible or
Right.
difficult, right?
Right.
It's all set up in how you approach certain things, right? Make sure you don't rub people wrong. Make sure that people understand where you're coming from, that you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But you also are open to ask questions, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's huge. So coming in and being a manager that says, "Hey, guys, great. I'm here. I have an open door policy. I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running,
Right.
man. I can't wait to meet each and every one of you. I have a one-on-one set up on my calendar. I'm getting that set up now so that we can talk. So for this next, 2, 3 weeks, I'm gonna meet with each one of you so we can
Right.
talk about, your plans, your goals, and
Yeah.
I just want to get to meet you, right?
Yeah.
Nothing real deep, just really, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself and what's going on. But I'm gonna start it off first, right? So
Right.
hey, let me tell you who I am, right? And then you go through and you explain to them who you are and why you're passionate about what you're doing, why you're glad to be there, right?
Right.
Make sure you understand the company you're working for. Hey guys, I'm glad to be here. I love that we help people out with this. I love that our
Yeah.
manufacturing product does this here. And because of that mission is why I came over, right?
Right.
And the fact that I just heard great things about this team, right?
Right.
And my goal is not to change, right? But to help us, right?
Right.
Improve where we need to, but let's keep this thing moving. Add where we need to, and make sure that you're aligned where you want to be as well. I
Right.
definitely want to know your goals, and that's key. Tell people I want to know your goals, where you want to go, and there's
Right.
no goal that's wrong for me, right? So if you say, "Hey, Joel, I eventually want your job," I'm fine with that. Now
Yeah.
let's map out how you get that, right?
Right.
And hey, are we not going to enough training? I got that. Tell me that. Hey, I've had people say, "Hey, Joe, I want to go to conferences. I want to do 2 conferences a year." And that's fine. I have no
Right.
problem with that. Now let me make sure I budget for that, and let me figure out, make sure there's a conference that works for us,
Right.
right? Where you can relax a little bit and also get some meat and potatoes from the conference. Um, but again, the way you set that tone in that first meeting will determine if you're gonna end up having an influx of people leaving,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because if one leaves, it's gonna be a trickle effect,
And it's
right?
not usually just one person. Usually
Right,
it's 2 to 3, right? The one
right,
person might be initial for it's just like any merger and acquisition. You are going to, in the first 30 days, people who leave in the first 30 days, they were going to leave anyways.
right,
Right? Like
right,
they
right,
well, I've got a new manager. Here's the final nail in the coffin. Time for me to go. The
right,
next set of people are the people that leave in the 90 days, right? They'll or within the first quarter, right? They're usually there to collect, sales bonuses and things like that, or whatever, right? They get to the end of the quarter and then whatever's sufficient to do X, Y, and Z. And then they're like, okay, I'll stay. This seems pretty good. I like this person
Right.
as a leader. She or he kind of, understands it gets me, or they're like, this person doesn't understand me or what I do or what we're doing here. I'm out.
Right.
And then the 90 days, right? The that happens, but the half year and the 1 year is also what happens. People wait a year and they go, or they're waiting for the person who just left to go and find a role that, to establish and say, is that a good place to land? Let me know and I'll join you over there. So, but so this isn't just a what is it you say you do here? This is more of a here's what I like, here's what I think. How do you want? How do you like to consume things? How are you managed? How are you doing? What do you do? How effective is what you do today with what you have, available to you, time, tool wise, and process wise?
I'm a people person.
I'm a people person. What's wrong with you people? But it's I feel like those conversations that I've had with people as I've done different roles, that's helpful. And like I said, this isn't your last job. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's the last company you work for, but it may not be your last job. What do you want your next job to be, and how can I get you? And I've gotten the I want your job. Okay, well, tell me a little bit about your background, and let's see where you are in your course to taking this role or the next role, or even being my boss. Where are you in that? And what are you doing to help yourself? Well, the last manager didn't let me do this and that and the other thing. Okay, why? Well, they never said why. Okay, well, let's take a look at why. Is that a skill set you have? No. Okay, let's get you trained. And, oh, all right. I like training. You're like, great. And, I do conferences and I let people go do conferences underneath me. The one key thing is I always tell them, when you come back, especially if it's one person out of the team that goes to one conference and one person goes to another conference, or two go to one conference, one goes to another, I kind of have them come back and give us like a brown bag lunch explanation of what they learned. Right? Who'd you meet with?
I do the brown bag, and then I also say, if you want to go to a conference, you need to apply to be a speaker.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Because my thing is, let's not only go to receive content, let's give content. Right. As well, because what I hire is people who are experts in their field, right? So what I want you to do is to be able to go out and help others, right? So my thing is, even if you're not there yet, I need you to have in your mind that eventually I need you to be at a level where you can speak at this conference. If you like it that much and you get so much from it, I want you to give back, right? So I mean, I love the brown bag, and I love that as well.
Yeah, there's a saying that if you teach, you're learning twice, right? Because you learn and then you learn again as you show somebody what you learned and everything else. You're actually learning twice. So yeah, I'm a big fan of speaking. It actually helps. Hey, Mike wants to go to this conference. Well, how much are the tickets? Well, the tickets are $2,500, but he's won a chance to speak at that conference, and all we need to do is hotel and food. And even then, there's a lot of conferences that food is already served, so it's just hotel and airfare. Or he's going to drive, she's going to drive,
which
to
is
the
a
conference.
game changer.
It's a game changer,
right?
Yeah.
So before it's going to cost $6,000 to send you to this conference with everything. Right. Now that you're speaking there and they're taking care of the food, right? Now we're looking at half, right? Or less than that.
Or a third, right?
Or a third of that. So that's different now. Now I'm like, oh, go have fun. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, I'm proud of you. Right. In fact, I might send somebody else to the conference now because you're going to be there, right?
You don't need to be alone.
Got to budget out, right? So you don't need to be alone.
Yeah.
So my thing is understanding what your team wants and needs. Mm-hmm. Also, look at the goals they've set, right? So depending on when you come in, they should already have goals set, or they should have had goals last year, right? Here are the things that I was trying to accomplish, and then look at how they were rated, right? To give you an idea, I know some people say they don't get feedback on their people. They want to come up with their own opinion on who they have and who works for them, and that's fine. My thing is reading the objectives they had and how they were rated. To me, tells you a lot. It tells you a lot of either about the manager that was there before and how they worked with them. And hey, I see there was some. So if they came in to my meeting, they're already tense and upset, right? Because the last manager they didn't get along with, and that was reflected in their performance evaluation, right?
Right.
Well, now I know I can come in and be like, well, how were things? What were
Right.
some of the issues you were having, right? And see if I can't fix them, because they could be a great stellar employee.
Yeah.
They just wasn't managed correctly,
Right.
right?
Right.
This guy, the manager, was a hoverer, right? He was a micromanager. They don't micromanage.
Right.
And all they want is, hey, just tell me what you want and I'll get it for you. You don't have to check on me 5 times. You don't have to. And to some people that's brash, but to me it's like, okay, I can give you that length, right? That opportunity, that rope, to be able to
Oh,
do what you need to do, right? And navigate. I just need to make sure I see results, right?
yeah.
And you just be matter of fact with them.
Yeah.
I will allow you, I will manage you the way you want to be managed until I then have to manage you the way that I need to manage you,
Yeah.
right? To get the
Yeah.
results we need.
And
Right.
yeah,
So
tell people, listen, I just need you to do work. I need you to get it done. I don't care where you do it. I don't care if as long as nobody's looking for you and they come to me and like, hey, have you seen Mike Dorezzo? And you're like, uh, no, I haven't. Were you expected to see him? They're like, yeah,
right,
he was supposed to be in this meeting with me, or yeah, he or she is supposed to send this contract over to me, or you're like, as long as that doesn't happen,
right,
get it done. Get it done. You can
right,
work. I had guys who and gals that came in 7 o'clock in the morning because they were morning people and they went to lunch and didn't come back. They worked from home. And they if I needed them, they were available until 4 or 5 o'clock. But
right,
they worked until 4 o'clock because they worked 7 to 4, right?
right.
They had to eat lunch at noon because, for reasons, and they wanted this
Yeah,
freedom and everything else. Like, okay, and
that's me.
granted, I'm different. The companies that I worked for were different because my people traveled a lot, and so their lives were very impacted by how much they travel. Especially my M&A risk assessment team. I mean, you could get a call Thursday night, be on a plane Sunday morning. So
Right,
their lives were tossed all around. So I made the rest of their lives easier around it.
right.
Um, but that happens, and that's what you need to do for people sometimes. So Joel, we're kind of at time. We talked about reading through policies and contracts and establishing a cadence to get through all the important ones. Let's talk about takeaways for the first 30. Let's break this up into the first 30. Um,
Meet with your team,
yeah,
right? So meet with your team was one that we talked about.
yeah,
Understanding, setting the precedence, kind of introducing yourself, really being open and honest, I think
right,
is the key with it.
yeah,
And then having an open door policy, right? And I think people say that all the time. I have an open door policy, but really having
yeah,
office hours, or having it so that people can come in and talk to you about whatever's going on and be account. Like one of the things I do in my first meeting, I give them my cell phone number,
yeah,
right? I write it on the board. Here's my number,
right,
right? Which is huge. Call me, right?
yeah,
Hey, here is the direct number to me, not my office number, not my.
right,
Here's my cell phone. Right?
yeah,
If you need me, you call me. Everybody lock it in, right?
yeah,
And give them time to lock it in, right?
yeah,
You need to text me, email me. This is how you do it, guys.
right,
I'm a text person, so you can text me and say, "Hey, Joel." And then what I do too is I lock in all their numbers in my phone,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because the worst thing ever to do is give somebody your number on your team, and they text you something. Hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm gonna be running late. My wife had some issues, or the kids something else, and you respond back, "Who is this?
Who this? Yeah, new
Who
phone. Who
who's
this?
this?" How do you think that makes them feel? Oh,
Right.
this is John. No, you lock in
You
all their
should have known that.
numbers, right?
Yeah,
You should know that. Okay,
yeah,
John, no problem. Hey, be safe, man. Family first.
right,
I
right.
say that all the time. Hey,
Yeah,
family first. If ever
yeah,
somebody takes me and it's something about their family, I'm always like, hey, no problem at all. We'll be
yeah,
good. Hey, family first.
yeah.
Right? Make sure your family's good. Then when you see them when they come in, ask them,
Ask them.
how is your family doing? Are they good? All right, that's good stuff. Even
Yeah,
if you need to make a mental note, hey, I need to stop by and make sure John's good because he said his wife was having some with the kids. Kids good, they get to school, good stuff. All right,
yeah,
man, we're glad you're here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Everybody's
keep
home
moving.
safe. Yeah,
That little bit of is like, oh, I appreciate that, right?
yeah.
Versus,
Humanity.
yeah,
We like to call that humanity. Be a
right.
human first.
Be
Yeah,
human, right? And
yeah.
my thing is the second one is what we started with, right? Two ears,
Listen.
one mouth. Listen,
Yeah,
listen. It's very simple. Listen,
right.
right? I think that's an auditing trick, right? I
Yeah,
had somebody who, when I started doing audits, they were like, "Hey, Joel, you should listen." They
Yeah.
will tell you everything you need to know. Ask a question and then hush up and
Well,
take
it's yeah,
notes.
in sales they call it the golden silence,
Right,
right? And
right,
so you ask a question and you look at them thought provoking. You'll see me do it. I do it all the time. Like I'll ask questions and go, because this is me holding my mouth shut and not interjecting so that I can draw the answers out, right?
right,
And you hear a lot more if you're not expecting it, right? So, ask the questions of what you're looking for, but understand that there's more there, right?
right.
There's 70-80% of a human being that I think it's something like you really only on your employees and coworkers and everything else, you really only see about 6 to 7% of that individual.
Mm,
There's
wow.
90 something percent that you don't see and understand and read and feel and everything else, because they're experiences that have molded that person, right? They're things that have crafted that. You weren't created from a zygote yesterday. Hopefully not. I've known you a while.
Right,
But so there are things that have crafted you as a human being, that have molded you. So when somebody reacts in a certain way, you're like, why did they react that way? You're like, because of reasons, and you don't know those reasons, and that's okay. But just understand that, okay, mom, that's a sensitive area for that person. Let's not, and go from there. And usually people tell me all kinds of. I have that come talk to me on my forehead. So people have a tendency to tell me things about themselves and their lives and things that have troubled them and everything else. And if I meet you on the street, or it's okay. Just I'm used to it at this point at 40 something years
right.
old. But listen, and if you have to share with people, because a lot of times people will say something and they'll go, I don't know why I said that to you. And you're like,
Right. It's
it's
okay.
okay. I
Mhm.
understand. Let's do this. And treat people like they're human, right?
Right,
And it makes it harder, and easier in a lot of different ways, right? Which is the
right,
contradiction in being a manager, is there are things that you can do that make life harder, but they also make it easier. They make it easier and then they make it
right,
harder, right? You
right,
treat them like humans, then if you have to terminate somebody or do something, then it makes it harder,
right,
but you sleep better at night. If you treat people
right,
like humans, you sleep better at night, right? You are going to
correct.
sleep better at night. Those people are going to sleep better at night. Help them and everything. It's different if you are coming in and hiring people,
Right,
or if you're different and you're taking over a team. You have a whole set of personalities of people you didn't hire, so you have to learn them
correct.
over. So yeah, listen. Team introductions, I think those are huge, like establishing who you are, and credibility, and understanding that you're human.
Right.
We're all human here. Let's make this happen. We can make great things happen together.
And
The
here's
final
a
one.
trick.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was gonna say the
Oh,
final one would be like a skeleton, a
yeah, high
skeleton
level
of
goals.
what, yeah, high level goal plan and whatnot. But another trick too that'll help you out just as a manager is come up with a template for your introduction that
Yeah,
you're going to use, that you're going to
yeah,
send in, and then have everybody on your team take that same template and do an introduction for themselves, and
yeah,
then say, hey, next meeting you're going to present. Right, we're going to present, and here's what I want to know, and this is what I'm. I went over. I told you about my background. I told you about some of the things. Told you about my goals. And
right,
here's a funny fact that you might not have known about. Right,
right,
and what this does, you have them all prepare that and have it ready for you. Right, one lets me know about time management. Right, are they able to get this assignment done? Because they can't do this simple assignment. Then we need to talk about why you are unable to. Are you overworked? Got too much on your plate?
right.
Two, it lets me know about their attention to detail.
Are
Right,
you
go
working
ahead.
on your resume?
Right, updating your resume. Like I need to know these things. And then it's attention to detail. Like you'll know the personalities through the slides. Like somebody is just methodical about their, and it's
Yeah,
very bullet point. Okay, their attention to detail. Somebody's fun. Mine are always fun, right? So
yeah,
it's fun all over the place. Okay, now I know how to manage them, and also too, you get to hear how they speak, right? How they speak and go through questions, or go through presenting the information. This is the easiest topic you could ever present on, right?
right,
Is yourself, right?
right,
So if they're having issues speaking on that, then okay, they may not be a great public speaker, right? So I may not want to put them in front of, you know, 100,000 people because we're presenting on something, right? That they're the
right,
project lead on. I
right,
know that, right? Or I need to work on that with them. So there's a lot of things that you can get from that, and again, that's listening, right? So you put it out there, you have them do it, and then you can evaluate, right, your team in the next week. That simple, that fast. You get to know them, and you get to evaluate a lot about your team and what they're doing. And you can say, hey, tell me what you're working on as well in
Yeah.
there. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm such and such. I have 15 years experience in this. I worked at these 3 companies, and what I do here is this, this, this. And here's my fun fact. Did you
Right.
know that I had 3 kids and da da da? Oh, okay, didn't know that. Thank you. Any questions, anybody? Anybody? Did y'all know that? Okay, good stuff. And then you sit down and go next.
Yeah.
And what you've learned is so much about your team in this quick thing. Okay,
Right.
so the firewalls. Oh, in your previous company you worked on, and they will tell you what's important to them because they'll say, in my previous company, I was the firewall administrator, but here I do, logs. Huh.
Right.
Why would they mention that? Right? They wouldn't have mentioned that they were over firewalls,
I
right?
do logs.
I do logs here.
I used to run all firewalls for the 5th
I,
largest company in the planet.
now I
Here I
do
do
logs.
logs.
So the thing is, you like take note of that. So when you sit down with them, you can say, "Hey, I noticed that you did firewalls before. Like, did
Right.
you like that? Did you get burnt out?
Right.
Because now you're doing logs, right?
Logs.
You're looking over the logs as they come in, and so what was that? And they'll say, "No, I really didn't like that. We just didn't have anything here, right? But I love doing that portion." Okay, huh? And
Good to know.
what tools did you use? What firewall was it? Oh, we
Right.
were Palo Alto, and it was this here, and okay. Duly noted. Okay,
Right.
that's important, right?
Right.
Like, hey, let me get you back over where you're passionate, right?
Yeah.
And we'll map
Yeah.
that out.
How
Like,
long
if we
ago
had a
was
position,
it?
right?
How
We had a
long? It was
position
a
to go
year
back over
ago?
there. Would you do
Okay.
that? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I would. I would love to. Okay, cool. Hey, I like that. And again, that all came from that one presentation. And then
Right.
third but not least is the skeleton plan, right?
Yeah.
Having some kind of idea of an outline of what you want to do, right? What you want to accomplish, and then just working to get that done. Again, taking one bite at a time, not trying to eat the whole elephant at one sitting.
Yeah. Speaking of not trying to eat the whole elephant in one sitting, we're gonna break this up. We started getting a little long, and Joel and I were just kept throwing out ideas, and
Yeah, yeah,
what would be great, Joel, is maybe we can come up with a calendar, like a simple breakdown calendar of this. That would be cool if we could
yes.
add that to a link or something in the YouTube video and submit that. So, anyways, everyone, thank you for joining us. Thanks for getting to the end of the podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you want to know more about it, hit the like button and subscribe button to catch up for the other 60 and 90 days, and we'll go from there. Please leave a comment. Like if you heard something you want us to expand on a little bit more on a topic, or you heard something in the past, please let us know. It gives us
Right.
ideas and things like this. Joel, any parting thoughts besides knowing is half the battle? We're gonna get
No,
sued. We're so gonna get sued.
knowing is half the battle. All right, that
All
is it. G.I. Joe.
right. Yeah, Joel.
Yep, yep. Thank you.